Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 20th day of May, 2026. I hope you're all safe and healthy today and your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the area of health, along with first responders every day doing their best to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those helping those that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, profiteers, and perverts that make these industries exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States. And here we are coming on the United States Memorial Day. Also, I want to also thank the first responders that was there yesterday in San Diego. Within 4 minutes, 2 people shot and killed 3 innocents before they killed themselves. If the police and first responders hadn't gotten there quicker, more children would have died. Thank you for that service. Again, blessings upon the first responders. There was a basketball game last night, Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks take game 1 from the Cleveland Cavaliers, 115-104. What a game it was. This game, in my view, is indicative of why the Knicks will beat the Cavs. The game plan was to go through Karl-Anthony Towns offensively and then be tight defensively. On the defensive end of the floor, the first half of the game ended with Cleveland ahead 48-46. The Knicks played decently, but really what I noticed was they were missing shots. They were 90% of the time hit. And of course, that's rust. I figured it would wear off. The Cavs were ready for the Karl-Anthony Towns show, and they doubled him hard. They were very efficiently trying to guard from cutters and stop Towns from being a playmaker. One of the things that helps the Knicks, with respect to that, which people forgot about, is that opens up the door for Jalen Brunson. Now, before we get to that, we were talking about on the KOT show with Lee and Jay Ellis and Ryan G. We're talking about the advantages the Knicks have. One of the advantages the Knicks have is their bench. They have so many people that can come off the bench and go off. Deuce, Mitchell Robinson, Alvarado, Clarkson, and last night, it was Shamet. Shamet scored 9 points on 3 threes. It was the defense picked up when Shamet came in the game, though. And they started getting stops. And they started isolating Harden with Brunson. Bad news for Cleveland. They asked Kenny Anderson after the game, would you have changed that and taken Hart out the game so that he don't have to guard Brunson? And he said he wouldn't. Hart's one of our best defenders. That was some BS. Hart's never been a great defender. That's why he's never won a championship. It takes stops to win a chip. The Knicks started getting them. Cleveland was not. And then with Brunson being the assassin of all assassins, someday you're going to figure that out. But he is. We know it in New York. And Harden could do nothing with him as he was killing Harden. And so you had Dean Wade, 6'10", guarding Brunson most of the game until the end. And the Knicks brought out the pick system to get Harden isolated on Brunson. Game over. So the Knicks come from 22 points down in the fourth. Like, that hadn't happened in 30 years to beat the Cavs. That shows you, at least from this perspective, the fortitude of Jalen Brunson. Like, don't play with him. I told y'all. Don't bet against Brunson, especially in these situations. And on top of that, we saw last night all y'all complaining about McCall doing work on both sides of the ball, both in defense and in offense, doing work on both sides of the ball, Mikal Bridges. And so with that, I mean, when you look at it in totality between McCall and you had, of course, we mentioned Brunson, and then you had Josh doing Josh stuff, and Josh did not have his best game yesterday. And this is the thing with the Knicks overall. If you notice the game, if you watch the game, what you have noticed is that they were over-aggressive defensively. What do I mean? Josh Hart especially, he kept jumping at every pump fake. He kept jumping. Mitchell Robinson was doing it. They were all doing it because they were being overly aggressive and overplaying Cleveland. And that's why Cleveland was in the game in the beginning of the game, between the Knicks being rusty and being overly aggressive and jumping at every pump fake that the Cavs did instead of staying on their feet. Josh Hart especially knows better. But they got it together in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. And no defense from Harden can stop anything on the Knicks. So now Cleveland's got to decide. And I was interested to see how they were going to guard Karl Anthony Towns. So they doubled him. They put Dean Wade on Brunson. And for some reason, I don't understand how you didn't understand that the Knicks were going to make an adjustment. And Brown did. And what were you going to do when they made an adjustment? And that's why I was wanting to see what they were going to do, because anything the Cavs threw at the Knicks, there's a counter. Anything the Knicks throw at the Cavs, there's not really a counter. So last night, the Cavs, for their credit, they didn't allow Mitch Rob to take their lunch money. He came in there, 4 points. They started fouling him. He got 6 boards. He had 4 on the offensive end. He was -8. Okay. Mobley did not allow Towns to take his lunch money this time. Okay, Mobley played 40 minutes, scored 15 points. Allen played 35 minutes, scored 10 points. Between the two of them, they got 14 boards from Mobley, 7 from Allen. That's pretty good. Okay, the thing that kept them in the game, though, was our boy Towns stumbling and bumbling with the ball. He had 7 turnovers. I don't expect that to continue through the playoffs. Now we know how they're coming at us. Now Towns knows. So you're going to see some sets where they're going to now they're not going to attack Harden right away, but we're going to save that for the fourth like we did last night. So that's why I wanted to see how Cleveland was going to respond. 2 reasons. The Knicks punked them in 2023, period. Just punked them and took it. This time the Knicks was going to try to punk them. Why not? But then they responded. Mobley and Allen played well. Donovan Mitchell, 41 minutes, 29 points, 4 threes. Donovan Mitchell did what Donovan Mitchell do. But the problem is they isolated Mitchell. And they wanted Harden to beat him. And Harden couldn't do it because he was spending too much energy trying in vain and getting victimized by Jalen Brunson. So I want to see what they got next. And then Sam Merrill was killing us on the weak side threes, which, he was going to do that. That's what he's there for. At the end, though, he had an open look, came down and out. And this is what I'm saying. Last year, Halliburton had an open look. It bounced off the rim real high, came through the hoop, right? That changed the series. This time, Shamet gets something bouncing off the rim. It goes in. And then Merrill gets something that was down the hole and back out. I'm going to tell you, if the Cavs do not win Thursday night, this is not going to go well for them. Okay? I said in the beginning, the most important games of any 7-game series is the first game and the closeout game. The Knicks survived the first game, and Cleveland threw everything at them they could. The Knicks survived that, overcome a big deficit, and took the game. Now, the Knicks going to be more ready on Thursday. The Cavs got to decide are we going to still pressure Cat? We're going to keep Dean Wade on Brunson? How are we going to do this? They got to decide that. Mitchell going to still do Mitchell. And last night, between McCall, OG, Deuce, they did a great job on Mitchell. I mean, but you could do, like I said, you're not going to stop a Donovan Mitchell. You just want to make it more difficult for him. You want to put, in the beginning of the game, when they were taking the lead, Mitchell was scoring with relative ease. It became tougher so that by the time you got to the fourth quarter, you couldn't even get the ball to him. And that's what's good about Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. You see, they never give up. Somebody talked about the Knicks play tough and don't be soft. Y'all need to stop. If you call yourself a Knicks fan, don't know what the hell you're talking about. The Knicks play 48 minutes. This is the playoffs. They done swept Philly. They took Atlanta in 6, and it wasn't even that close if you paid attention. And last night, they come from 22 down in game 1 to beat Cleveland. I'm liking our squad. I'm liking our team. So now we got a date with them on Thursday. That's the next game we play with them, Thursday, and we're going to see what adjustments are made. Mike Brown is doing an exemplary job on both sides of the ball, strategizing against Cleveland. And the thing is that we really, all of us, let me not speak for everybody. I thought, and a lot of people thought, the Knicks were going to be playing Detroit. And I'm sure Brown was being prepared for Detroit. Detroit lost, though. See? And this is the bottom line. When the analysts come, what are they going to say? Game 1, Knicks. See? No matter how. If Cleveland won, it'll say Game 1, Cleveland. How it happened, what happened, don't matter. Game 1, Knicks. Okay? It's going to say second round, out. Detroit. Second round, out. Next year, when you start the year, you're going to see Detroit basketball referees are going to say lost in the second round to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Period. Okay? How it happened, what happened, why it happened, don't matter. So now, Game 1, Knicks. Home court, Knicks. Game 2, Madison Square Garden. Cleveland better get a dub. And I noticed something in the game against Detroit, though. And this was the biggest thing I noticed with Cleveland and Detroit. After the game, Kenny Atkinson comes into the locker room and says, I would have said this when we won or lost. We had a great season. He was talking as if they just won a championship and the season was over, right? You go look at that. That was Kenny Atkinson. In that same locker room, Donovan Mitchell was sitting in the corner and he got him and said, no, we got work to do. Like, he's the only one recognized. No, y'all celebrating too much. We still got work to do. We got the Knicks next. And that's why Donovan was ready. This is the first Eastern Conference Final Donovan was in. He'd been losing first and second round his whole career. And he said, we got work to do. That showed the difference. The coach was like celebratory. Donovan Mitchell was like business. If you look at the Knicks, everybody was business. And that's why the Knicks got the advantage. Must-win game for Cleveland on Thursday. Must win. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at us again. But this time, the Knicks will be less rusty and more ready. So Game 2 is going to tell us a lot. If it's as close as this game was, and the Knicks have to battle with them into the fourth quarter, this is going to be a tough series. I might give it a 6 games. But if the Knicks come out and smoke them on Thursday, this is going to be quick. Okay? If Cleveland win, I'll still give them 6. They get a split in New York. That's what I'm saying. Thursday is a real important game. This here game was the most important one of the season for the Knicks. Eastern Conference Finals Game 1. Revenge from losing Game 1 last year in the Eastern Conference Finals to Indiana. So we beat them. That's Jalen Brunson. That's the assassin. That's Shaman. That's the bench. Okay? Okay. Now, Game 2 is also the most important game of the year for the Knicks and Cleveland. If Cleveland loses Game 2, this is going to be a wrap. Okay? But let's see. So anyway, here we go. And not only that, like Josh Hart shot. Listen, just check it out. McCall was 2 of 4 from 3. OG was 1 of 6. Towns was 1 of 5. Hart was 1 of 5. And I got some asshole coming in and talking about Hart can't shoot. Why don't we all, what? Hart's a 40% three-point shooter. They were all off. It wasn't just him. And no, you don't take him out the game and start Mitchell Robinson in the first game of the first quarter because you don't like the way it looked. Amateurs. You stick with your game plan. You stick with your personnel. You believe in your players. I've been telling you all that about McCall all year. Anytime somebody has a bad quarter, some of y'all ready to make stupid-ass high school changes. No. Stick with Josh Hart. Stick with your starting 5. Stick with your rotation. Stick with your game plan. And that's what they did. And at the end, what opened up was Harden getting victimized by Brunson. And that's how they play. Okay? So here we go. We're going to find out Thursday. Big game. The Knicks passed Game 1, flying colors. Time for Game 2. Let's get this on. Everybody healthy. Everybody be safe. Sure.